Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Thursday, March 25th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Opening day for the Royals is 1 week away, and decisions are getting made. The biggest one this week was the contract extension for catcher Salvador Perez, making him the highest paid player in Royals history. Beat writer Lynn Worthy and columnist Vahe Gregorian call it a win-win proposition for Perez and the Royals. We also discuss the starting rotation, which was announced by manager Mike Matheny this week. Brad Keller gets the ball on opening day. Who lines up behind him? And what will the back end of the bullpen look like? So let's get started talking Royals with Lynn Worthy and Vahe Gregorian on a program that started as a SportsBeat Live. Good morning and welcome from a cold and rainy Kansas City. It seems like I've been saying that a lot lately. And welcome to SportsBeat Live, where we talk Royals baseball with the people who know them the best, the sports writers and columnists for the Kansas City Star, and with you. Please send us your questions and comments. We'll get to as many of them as we can. Let's welcome in from the comfort of Surprise, Arizona, Lynn Worthy, and from the comfort of his home office, Vahe Gregorian. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Blair. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Vahe. And it is not it's not rainy and cold here. I just want to point that out.
It seems to never not be rainy and cold here these days.
Man, you missed the brisk morning chill in your face when you walk the dog, so we got that going for us.
That's right. Oh, man. Hey guys, let's start with some news that broke earlier this week. Not unexpectedly, Salvador Perez signed a contract extension. The 4-year extension's worth was a guaranteed $82 million. I want to talk to both of you about that, but first, let's hear from Royals general manager Dayton Moore and the man of the hour, Salvador Perez.
It's not often that you get a chance to have press conferences like this, where you get a chance to reward and celebrate a player like Salvador Perez, who he is as a person, what he means to this game of baseball, what he means to the organization, our fans. It's a special day to be able to celebrate that. And can't thank you enough. Thankful to your mother, your grandmother, everybody who's raised you in this game, this organization, all the people that have spoke so highly of you. And we all know why. We all know why everybody's believed in you all these years, because you've earned it. And people love being around you. They pull for you. And it's special that we get a chance to keep you here. I want to thank John Sherman. I want to thank the ownership group. I want to thank Jen Wong, Scott Sharp, our entire front office for working hard. I want to thank Caesar for his involvement as well. I want to thank all of our coaches and everybody involved. So,
first, I want to thank the Kansas City organization for signing me, for sending Orlando Steven to Venezuela when I was 16 years old and see me, and sign me as a catcher. I don't think I was going to play, behind the home plate. I was third base in shortstop. So I think Orlando Steven told me some good things, He want to see me from behind the home plate, and I did it. So thank you, Dave. Thank you. I want to thank God for giving my mom the mom that I have, for my grandmom. It's hard to believe where I'm coming from, when I grow up to now to see me, the situation that I am right now. It made me feel super happy. I know my mom doing a pretty good job, and I know my grandmom is going to be happy. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I know she's here right now, and I'm excited. I'm excited to stay here for 4 more years, maybe 5. We go see. And thank you for believing in me today. Thank you, Mr. Sherman. And I'm going to be ready.
Well, I think John has been extremely supportive, and he's a great admirer of Salvy.
How about Salvy getting a little emotional there? I'll tell you what, I was surprised in 2016 when there was a similar press conference. They announced a contract extension for Salvador Perez. I don't remember him getting as choked up as he did on this occasion. And Vahe, I got to tell you, Dayton Moore just loves moments like this, doesn't he?
He does, Blair, and in all candor, it kind of chokes me up to see the sort of the pure emotion from both of them. Something you notice about Dayton there that I think is uncommon, and he's uncommon in a lot of these things. But as he's speaking about Sal, a lot of people maybe do this in a perfunctory sort of way. He is turning towards Sal, extolling his virtues, having a conversation with him that shows you how much it's from the heart. And I just think that's a consistent theme we hear time and again about people's affection for Dayton and vice versa. I think it's one of those things. I can't remember how Sam Mellinger put it the other day, but when you're in love, you overlook other things, right? You just go, and that's kind of been the case. And by the way, I know we'll link to this later, but Lynn and Sam Mellinger both wrote great things in the last couple of days about this. And Lynn, I really enjoyed you taking us back to the early days through Renee and others you spoke with.
Well, you're absolutely right, Vahe. We will link to the stories that Lynn and Sam wrote about this occasion in the show notes as this broadcast becomes a podcast. Lynn, from a business perspective, interesting contract. The extensions for 4 years, $82 million. Was did the Royals did they read the market right? Did they make a good business move here?
Well, I'll say this. If you read our fine readers of the Kansas City Star probably saw at the end of January where I was sort of spitballing about what a contract might look like, and where I landed at was right around 4 years and $80 million. So I pointed that out, one, because that's about where it was, and two, because I probably might not be that right ever again. So let me make sure that I mention it.
You're obligated to do that. That's right.
That is correct, because when I am wrong, I'm sure there'll be no shortage of people letting me know. I think coming off of this offseason where you had JT Realmuto, who's really, I think the difference in their age is really about a year and a half or something like that. It's within 2 years. It's less than 2 years. It's close to a year. And he got that contract that put him with an AAV that was like, I think it was $23.5 million. That set a record. He's getting in that, $20 million a year range. I mean, I think it seems like people feel like there's a big difference between him and Salvy. I think because Salvy, has the bigger body, is a little bit older, is caught for a while longer. But I think some of the stuff that Vahe was talking about, the Royals lean in when it comes to the sentimentality and the personal side. And Salvy in Kansas City probably is worth more than somewhere else. And the fact that they kept him from getting on the open market is a big part of that too. Just to give an example, like if he hits the market this offseason as a free agent and he gets to test the waters, and you had a team like, say, the Yankees, where Gary Sanchez is, up in the air, maybe they decide this year if he doesn't do well, that they got to go out and get a catcher, and Salvador Perez is sitting there waiting for him. Do the Royals want to get in that bidding war with the Yankees? That's and to potentially lose a guy who's a franchise cornerstone, the guy who, I started sort of asking these questions at the end of last season, but a guy who might be the next Alex Gordon in terms of career Royal, who was here through the championship years, who they don't let go anywhere else, to see that walk away, I just don't think Dayton's going to let that happen at all.
Lynn, I think that's a great distinction you make, by the way. For the Royals, he's a franchise cornerstone. For the Yankees or some such, he'd be a piece. And, a good piece. But I think there's a difference in the context of how he fits here, especially as a guy who literally has spent I think this is almost exactly right, half his life in the Royals organization.
Yeah. He signed when he was 16, and he'll turn 31 in May. So yeah, it's getting close to that. And he's going to be, the AAV annual average annual value is going to be about 20. It was a 20.5, I think, million over the 4 years, not including the option year, and that puts him in that ballpark with guys like Yachty and the top catchers in the game. The thing you worry about is the longevity. Is he going to be able to hold up and still produce the way he does at age, 35? When he is, like we mentioned, a bigger guy, tries to catch a lot. He's had some different injury issues and knee issue and stuff like that in the past. So that's the part that you worry about. But again, I think that part of that calculus there is factoring in how much more he might mean to the Royals and to the franchise and to the fan base than if you let him leave and he goes somewhere else.
And Lynn, how about projecting his 4 years at position? I don't. He's famously said he wants to catch all 162 games. I can see him beginning a transition out of that, certainly out of that mindset and out of those possible numbers for him as this contract continues.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him doing more DHing. I mean, I think one thing, and I don't think the Royals would necessarily come out and say it, but I mean, signing this deal, you lock up Salvy for the next couple of years. Jorge Soler is heading into free agency this offseason, and so maybe this makes it more likely. I mean, my guess is it does make it more likely Jorge Soler doesn't come back, but then that also opens up that DH spot because Soler's been sort of your full-time DH. And so maybe that's where you make sure that you have that opening for Salvy to get some more time at DH, or if you want to use him some at first base, and what that means Santana or somebody gets more time at DH, then you sort of have that leeway as opposed to having a guy who is going to be in that spot every day. So I could see more DH, more first base becoming a factor, depending on who comes up from the farm system and what other pieces they have in place.
I also like the Yadier Molina comparison. I think Molina's been the Cardinals catcher since the mid-'60s. I can't remember the last time he was not the Cardinals catcher. And
Jim McCarver, right to Yadier Molina.
Right. I think he caught Bob Gibson, early in his career. But Vahe, don't you see? I mean, Salvador Perez he's that guy for the Royals, isn't he? When it's all said and done, he's going to be. He right now is the Royals. Maybe if you had to assign percentages to these types of things, the Hall of Fame candidate for the Royals next, the next one, and has a chance to be probably considered a top 5 Royal of all time, doesn't he?
I think that's right, Blair, and I think part of it is for everything else that goes with it. He's the through line to this Royals era, right? I mean, comes in, it's signed shortly after Dayton takes over. There's a parallel in the entire enterprise, right? He's part of the resurgence of 2014 and 2015, and he's here through the next step. The Royals obviously fell back, but certainly there's a lot of excitement and I think reasonable anticipation of a breakthrough again now. Maybe it's not going to be a World Series in the next year or two, but certainly a postseason seems a realistic hope. And he's going to be that aspect of it. The way he's a little different than a Molina too, that's also a distinct thing. I mean, certainly Molina's had endurance, but the Cardinals have pretty much always been good. I always tell my friends in St. Louis, they'll never know what it was like in 2014 and 2015 for the Royals because they're in the World Series every 5 years. The Royals had to wait 29 years. And so to see a guy who's so essentially identifiable with all that makes him not just, potential Hall of Fame candidate and maybe a top 5 Royal, but really endeared to the city, especially with that personality, right?
Absolutely. Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners. unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeat KC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. Okay, guys, let's switch gears and talk about the rotation. I think since the last time we talked, the Royals have named an opening day starter, and we know the starters for the first few games. Lynn, why don't you break it down for us, and then we'll talk about the options after number 4.
Yeah, so the opening day starter will be Brad Keller, which was not a shocker. He started in 2019. He got the opening day start last year, obviously, with the shortened season, and he actually was not on the opening day roster because he was still recovering from COVID. So this will be his second opening day start. It's going to go from Keller to Mike Minor to Brady Singer to Danny Duffy. So you get right, left. Keller gets that opening day and that home opener. Then the first road game will be Duffy's game in Cleveland. He'll get that last one. And they don't need a fifth starter. They won't play 5 games consecutively until I believe it's April 10th through 14th when it's Chicago, and then I forget where the end of that one is, but I know it starts in Chicago. So, and the off days and everything, let them spread that out. But so Brad Keller will make his second opening day start, and they'll go 4-man rotation and go from there.
He was good in that opening day start in 2019, as I recall. I think he had 7 scoreless innings against the White Sox, a game that the Royals ended up winning in 2019. And as you mentioned, the Royals just need the 4 for the first basically couple of weeks of the season. But there's a little bit of intrigue now with the 5th starter, is there not? The Royals sent down Chris Bubich, and he would seem to be the leader to be the 5th starter, but it's not a slam dunk, is it?
I don't think so, because when he was sent down, I think Mike Matheny made it pretty clear that it wasn't just so much a paperwork thing. It was there's certain things that he needs to get better at and he needs to work on, because they feel like they know what the best of Chris Bubich looks like, and they haven't seen it yet. They haven't seen it yet in the majors this last year, and they weren't seeing it in spring training. I think Bubich even alluded to it a little bit in the last time we spoke to him after his last spring training start. So there's stuff that needs to get fixed there. So it's not as though it's an automatic, you just plug him in when it comes time. Plus, you've got some other people that you might be able to look at. I mean, Jacob Junis is another guy. I mean, just yesterday, his outing, I mean, he came out in just 2 innings in relief, and it was 6 up, 6 down, 3 strikeouts. Mike Trout, see you later, have a seat. I mean, it's spring training, but it's pretty impressive. So, and he's added to his repertoire. The cutter has really given him a different look this year. And that was always one of the issues with him, was getting through that lineup the second and third time. The numbers for that offense just went way up. And now if he's got a different look to give them, that gives him a chance to get through a lineup the second and third time, then that might change the way you look at him as a starter.
Well, he certainly is. Junis is certainly one of the intriguing people right now on his role, and even I think his inclusion on the roster is kind of all but assured. But what his role is going to be when the season opens? What about if he's that? Let's just say for argument's sake, he's not the 5th starter, but he's in the bullpen. What is he, the long guy there? What's his possible role?
Well, and for right now, it's pretty much, I think it's more or less set that he's going to be in the bullpen to start the season when they go 4-man. And they're sort of Matheny's referred to as a hybrid role. Yeah, we wrote about in today's I was going to say today's paper, I think online yesterday and this morning. But it probably isn't in print yet. But he's a guy who, they'll use him. They're trying to get him ready to be used in short outings, but also if they need long relief, if they need, still keep him stretched out to the point where if they want to use him as the fifth starter when that time comes, to still have that option available. But he might be the guy who comes out for an inning or two and just comes at you with that, the slider and the fastball and say, have at it. And like similar to like he did yesterday, where it was just boom, boom, boom. Or he could be a long guy. Same thing with Irvin Santana. He could be in that similar type role where he might be a long guy, could be used in shorter outings, see if his stuff plays up, and then stay stretched out and be an option. So he could be, the sort of that, Swiss Army knife type guy. And if they decide to keep him in that bullpen role, then you still have options like Santana, like Daniel Lynch, like Bubich. So you have a bunch of different ways you could go. And, Mike Matheny is sort of keeping all options open when you try and pin him down on that. Not with a week left, that's not going to happen. he's going to give you just a plethora of different ways they could go.
Okay, very good. So last week, we asked the question at the top, how far in the show could we go without mentioning Bobby Witt Jr.? We are almost 20 minutes in, and this is the first mention of Bobby Witt Jr. I blame Sam, because Sam Mellinger was the one who brought it up and just dominated the conversation when it came to Bobby Witt. Of course, the question a week ago and throughout most of spring training is, what were the Royals going to do? How difficult a decision would it be for the Royals to keep him up? Well, the Royals made their decision, and Bobby Witt Jr. will not begin the season on the opening day roster. Vahe, I think you may be the only one we haven't heard, or we haven't had you weigh in on the Bobby Witt conversation. What are your observations of him? And we'll talk about some of the other players that the Royals are sending down. But what's your Bobby witticisms?
That's too much credit by accident. Look, he's pretty mesmerizing, and I was down there for a little streak where he hit a couple home runs, including the 484-footer off the concourse that I think took 3 bounces into Utah or whatever's north of the stadium. That's west, I guess. Where is Utah?
I think you're right. North.
Yeah, north.
One of the 4 corners states.
Or the Grand Canyon. And that's really been, I got a little glimpse, I think, last year, but that's really been the first time I've seen him in person a little bit. And we did talk about this a little once, I think, just because I remember going down this trail a little bit about what you learn by the way other players talk about him, and especially when it's unbidden. I mean, Lynn, I think, replayed part of an interview from Danny Duffy last summer in one of the stories he wrote, where Danny just paused and started bringing up Bobby Witt when he was talking about one of his simulated outings at summer camp. And he just, called him the greatest hitter of all time. And he was sort of joking, but he didn't really know. And then Hunter Dozier, the day Bobby hit that 484-footer, is going through the lineup of the Royals, talking about how there's no holes and how great the lineup is. Santana, Soler, Perez, Bobby Witt. It's like, huh. So, and in talking to Royals executives, I mean, certainly you could get the sense that there was a real question about what to do. Lynn injected some important perspective, I think, about 2 weeks ago when we were talking about this, saying, kind of trying to calm us down and saying, there's really no harm in him playing his first minor league game before he goes to the majors. I know the 37 rookie league games count as something, but I think that's different. And I that kind of deflated me. It's like, yeah, Lynn's right. I would be excited to see him right now, but I get the logic, and I think it's not a necessity for him to be here now. But I think the real question is going to be, and I think Matheny said this the other day, How do these guys, Bobby and other players of his ilk who are on the cusp, keep pressing the issue now? And one last thing for now is that, we're going to keep this alive because we just will. It's what we do. But also, I'm finally writing this piece today on the perspective of Bobby Stroop, who trains both Bobby Witt Jr. and Patrick Mahomes, not on them exactly as parallels, but on something about the it factor in each of them is really kind of the overlap in the Venn diagram. So we're not going to let it go.
And we shouldn't. And I'm looking forward to that Bobby Stroop story. That'll be good. So Lynn nailed the Salvador Perez contract. He nailed the Bobby Witt Jr. future.
Drop the mic. Get out.
Well, I do want to say that's maybe the nicest way I've ever been told that I was the Debbie Downer and threw cold water on things. He sugarcoated it so well when he said, yes, he added perspective, and then slid in there that how he was deflated by the time I was done with it.
Well, so at least for now, no Roy Hobbs story, right? With at Kauffman Stadium, I'm not going to see the whammer or the hammer, whatever he called his bat. Wonder Boy. Okay, right. Okay, so Bobby Witt, not the only guy that was sent down. We expected, right? Daniel Lynch, Jackson Kowar, Kyle Isbell. What a nice spring for Kyle Isbell, Lynn. All guys that are when you see stories written about teams that were rookies or very young players, had good springs. The Royals are always mentioned, and they are because of some of these guys I just mentioned.
Yeah, and one thing that has jumped out to me is every time, obviously Bobby Witt gets talked about more than any of those guys, but Kyle Isbell is probably the guy that Mike Matheny makes sure to bring up in the same breath as Bobby Witt every time, we sort of start asking the questions about what Bobby might be able to do and how far he's come and the types of, strides he's made. Like Mike Matheny is quick to say, Kyle Isbell has really had a great spring and really looks good. Looks like a guy who could contribute. And I think if we go back to when the Royals made the trade for Andrew Benintendi, and I think the question came up to Dayton Moore about, does this mean that, you're probably a little bit ways away with guys like, Kyle Isbell? Moore was pretty, adamant about it. He's like, well, no, there's a path to see them both in the same outfield in the future, he's a guy that they think highly of. He's performed well. I don't think that they really view him. Like Bobby obviously is rated so highly and so young and has made such quick strides, but I think they view him as being in that same category in terms of being able to contribute sooner than later and be able to be an everyday guy. They see that potential in him.
Looking forward to seeing Kyle Isbell. Okay, let's. I got emailed a couple of questions. Let me get to them. Lynn, how about your estimation on definitive roles at the back end of the bullpen, the 7, 8, and 9? Will we see that? And if so, what do we see?
I don't think you will see that. I think, even last year, at the start of last year, you didn't see that. Eventually, they got to a point where Trevor Rosenthal was the ninth inning guy, but they didn't start off that way. Mike Matheny said last year that wasn't really what they were looking to do in spring training. And they had an established closer, at the time, Ian Kennedy, who didn't have a good year last year, but he was coming off of 30 save season. Right. And he had Rosenthal, and he had, Greg Holland coming back, and he said it's not going to be set roles. He was going to do it by matchups and by, looking at that particular lineup, looking at what the high leverage situation was in that particular game. That's how he was going to do it. He said that going to spring training last year. He did that as the season played out, and he's saying it again this year. And I think you're going to see that, and then eventually it may settle into that. But even still, if he feels like he needs to use a guy, who's one of his main guys in the 6th inning, because that's where the game might potentially pivot, then he's going to do that. That's the way I see it. I don't think it's going to be, especially not from the start of the season, a 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guy.
That's even with 2/3 of the HDH trio on the roster right now, with Greg Holland and Wade Davis. Okay, do you see a scenario where it's an either or with Ryan McBroom and Ryan O'Hearn?
I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure that one out. That's one of those things this last week. 'Cause I feel like, depending on what that bench is going to look like, because you've got potentially guys who can play multiple positions, so that gives you flexibility. And because you won't need a fifth starter, you could maybe go with one fewer pitcher than you will later. So the opening day roster, there's still a lot of things that you could do to play around with that. I mean, you could have, Ryan McBroom and Ryan O'Hearn. I'm not sure how likely that is. I tend to think that it's probably one or the other. But, again, depending on how they want to shape that bench. And then that opening day bench may change by middle of the year. I mean, not the middle of the year, middle of the month when they try to add a fifth starter or figure out who's going to be a fifth starter and maybe add a pitcher. I think the idea, at least last I knew, was probably looking at 13 pitchers, 13 position players to start the season, but they may go to 14, 12, leaning towards pitchers when they need to get to a fifth starter. So that bench is going to be a question mark in terms of exactly how they want to construct that.
Okay, last spring training game is on Monday. Opening day is on Thursday. When do they have to have the roster set? Is it just by Wednesday, or what's the day the roster has to be turned in?
I don't think. Well, I mean, then you could still. I want to say up until that day, we may not know what the exact roster looks like, because I want to say last year was obviously a different year, but I want to say in 2019, I think they knew what the roster was, but I think up until that day, they hadn't announced that roster. Opening day, I think it was that they announced the roster. I want to say it was, on that getting to the ballpark and having the sort of definitive roster that day. So, and then if something, if something happens, you add a guy. I know not everybody will necessarily break camp right away, because I think they're already talking about Danny Duffy will stay behind and throw an extra outing here in Arizona because he's the fourth of the four starters to pitch. So I think it's going to go right down to the wire as far as, and there's no exhibition game, like it was originally scheduled with Northwest Arkansas, or a couple years ago they did with Omaha. Like, you won't have that game. So they'll be able to sort of keep it close to the vest as long as they want to.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, so all three of us have covered events in the last few months with limited attendance. It's been odd, very odd to say the least. I bring this up because the Royals announced yesterday that single game tickets are going on sale, started going on sale yesterday, and the Royals are going to limit attendance for April home games to 10,000 at Kauffman Stadium. I thought this was interesting. You cannot buy tickets on the day of the game for home games. You have to get them in advance. So I guess, Vahe, it's going to be great to see fans back in Kauffman Stadium, and I'm sure the players are absolutely going to love it. But opening day with 10,000 versus opening day with 40,000 is better than opening day with 0.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this morning earlier, Blair. I mean, got a little glimpse of fans back in the stands out at the couple games I saw in Arizona, but I found myself really conscious of the fact that, interrupt me and tell me I'm wrong on this if I am, but it's the first major sport that hasn't had fans in the stand, well, at least for a home game, hasn't had fans in the stands since 2019. I mean, the MLB, we didn't see it at Kauffman Stadium all last season.
Right. I don't think since the shutdown, does the NBA they just started letting fans in some places.
In some places, I think in some states, depending on the situation, some places have.
I know the 76ers just let some fans in. I saw that recently.
And I just bring that up in this context. I mean, I think that 10,000 is going to feel like 35,000 to me. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to feel special, even though we'll understand the gap, right? And we'll be cognizant of what's empty still. But I think there's going to be something really reassuring and powerful in that number. And maybe it lends itself to baseball. I don't want to say in a better or more significant way than in other sports, but in a different way. There is something about the relationship between the baseball fan and the intimacy of the surroundings that's just a little different. I mean, I know it's not closer in some ways, and certainly not than basketball or hockey, but I just think there's something about that's gonna get us. I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
And I think I'm trying to remember who it was. One of the Royals players, because there's been fans at these spring training games, a very small number. But after one of the first ones, one of the players said something about it was just good to have people out there and to hear the actual sounds. And he mentioned even just getting heckled. And I can't remember who it was. And I want to say somebody brought it up to Matheny afterwards, and Matheny sort of laughed and said, "Yeah, that'll get old real quick."
So it's going to be pod seating at Kauffman Stadium, and of course mask wearing when you're not actively eating or drinking. Which at a baseball game, I don't know when you're not actively eating or drinking. So
yeah,
exactly. Okay, let's call it a show, guys. Really appreciate Lynn Worthy and Vahe Gregorian for stopping by and talking Royals, and to our producer Beth Welsh. We will do this again next week. We're still working on the date because next week, a week from today, will be opening day, and we will let you know when we're coming at you the week of opening day. So thanks, everybody. Talk to you again soon. That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Derek Donovan, Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, Chris Fickett, and Savannah Smith. A tip of the cap to Lynn Worthy and Vahe Gregorian for stopping by and talking Royals. Links to their stories can be found in the show notes and, as always, on kansascity.com. Hey, we've got another deal for you. You can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. What's Sports Pass? That's the Kansas City Star's online sports section. So you get everything that appears in the print edition and then much, much more. And that's right, only 99 cents a month. For 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel. What a time to subscribe. The Royals are wrapping up spring training. Opening day's right around the corner. March Madness, we're in the middle of that, and it's never not Chiefs season. How do you get it? You go to kansascity.com/SportsPass2020. That's kansascity.com/SportsPass2020. Do you want more than just sports coverage? Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports news features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented teammates, plus additional news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. Love that e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And if you're having trouble hunting down any of those offers, send me an email, bkirkhoff@kcstar.com, and I will get you to the right place. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on Friday with another episode.